We asked them to submit an essay. We grade the essays and we pick the 10 best, and boy, is that hard. But it's not quite as hard as when we pick the 10 best, they all come down to the National Constitution Center and make oral presentations of 10 to 15 minutes, and then we sit as judges. Judge Rendell, myself, some board members, sometimes Jeff Rosen, the head of the Constitution Center. We asked them questions. We challenged their knowledge. We challenged their arguments. Responses we got, the skits that were put on by those kids, not only for the first year for that challenge, but for the subsequent 4 or 5 challenges, are nothing short of amazing. And the kids are very creative too. The winning entry closed their argument, and they took the tougher side of the argument, which was that the Constitution shouldn't be changed, that naturalized citizens shouldn't have the right to run for president. They based it on the historic arguments that were put forth when that provision of the Constitution was debated. But they closed their 15-minute presentation by playing Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA. I thought that was so cute. They got my vote no matter what. It's just amazing to see how excited they are. Excited about civics, excited about government.
Welcome everyone. My name is Jackson Hart and this is Miko Carpinello. We are here with students from Kinwood Elementary School, and they have come to talk about term limits.
The 5th grade challenge group strongly thinks that there should be term limits imposed on Congress and Supreme Court justices. Let's talk to some of the students and hear their thoughts.
Joel, what do you think about imposing term limits?
I think we should definitely have term limits because new people can mean new ideas, which will help improve our country.
And do you also support term limits, Gwen?
I think we must impose term limits. It will make people work harder and make the most of their time in office if they only have a limited time to serve.
And what do you feel is the most important reason for amending the Constitution to impose term limits, Gabe?
I think we should impose term limits because the balance of power requires it. If the president has term limits, why shouldn't Congress and Supreme Court justices? Shouldn't they have the same amount of power?
To share our message and let our voices be heard, we will now perform a song.
Another program that we do, which is our public debates. In 2015, we had the 5 Democratic candidates for mayor who were running for mayor in the primary election. We had our schools, we sent out to our schools, we wanted to see questions by 5th and 6th graders. What would you like to ask the mayor, the new mayor? And we took the best questions that we got. We took 4 or 5 questions, brought the schools, and they asked the candidates directly. No one intervened. The kids stood up and said, could you answer this question? And I remember the most poignant question in the mayoral debate was, we have class preparation for what we'd do if there was a threat in our school and someone came in and started shooting, where we would go, how we would hide, how would we try to protect ourselves. It's pretty scary, and then we see all these shootings in schools. We're afraid. can you do something to make us less afraid and feel more safe? Well, you hear that question asked, you almost want to cry. The debate was terrific. We not only bring those students who ask the questions down and their whole class down to hear the debate, but we do it by closed circuit television. We send it to schools all over the city for the mayoral debate. And then this past year in 2018, we had the gubernatorial debate between the Republican and Democratic candidates. And that debate was sent by closed circuit television. It was made available to any school who wanted to broadcast it to their students. And again, you see the kids interacting with the gubernatorial candidates or the mayoral candidates. And they're on fire and they're feeling their oats and they're citizens there and they want their questions answered. It's just terrific to see how excited they are about things that are really important to their daily lives.
Our literature-based mock trials offer students the opportunity to deepen their understanding of the work of literature while learning about the judicial system. The mock trial is an effective learning tool. It helps students develop confidence, critical thinking skills, teamwork, and communication skills, in addition to increasing a student's proficiency in basic skills such as reading, writing, speaking, analyzing, listening, and reasoning, all in an interactive and engaging environment.
A literature-based mock trial is when you take a piece of literature, a good piece of literature, and turn it into a trial. You take the conflict that the characters have or the problem that comes up in the story, and you put the character on trial for whatever it is that they did. Any good piece of literature is going to have a good conflict, and it's going to have an opportunity to make a trial out of it. I've been doing literature-based mock trials for I think 4 or 5 years. And I've seen over the years the good effects that it has on the students and on me. It makes my teaching more interesting too.
My students get so excited when they know that there are actual attorneys coming into our classroom. And I remember once saying, well, we're going to have attorneys to come in to help you develop your questions. And they said, Miss Williams, what's an attorney? And I said, oh, well, that's a fancy word for a lawyer. And they were like, oh. And when that day came and the attorneys actually came into the classroom, they were over the moon. They were super excited that attorneys came into our classroom just to work with them. I think the reason why I started doing literature-based mock trial is because I wanted to find a different way to try to teach the children civic responsibility. I hope that in the future, by teaching literature-based mock trials, that in the future we're creating civic-minded adults.
As a federal judge and grandmother, there's nothing more amazing than to see the young eyes of a 5th grader light up as he or she approaches the witness stand to question a witness, or as they work on a script. If you're a teacher or a lawyer, I encourage you to join us on the literature-based mock trial journey. It is a rewarding experience. Just as reading a book opens a world for a student, a mock trial will open additional worlds in terms of content and experience.
We're getting the best and the brightest teachers who really care about civics and who understand the need to impart to our young people a sense of understanding about civics and, again, their rights and responsibilities as citizens. Teachers volunteer for this program, and we get applications from almost every one of the 50 states. We can only take 40 teachers into the summer program. We pay for their room and board. They have to pay for their transportation. And yet we get teachers who apply for the program from California, from Hawaii, from Florida, from Oregon, places like that. So we wanted to inspire teachers, and I wish we had money to do more than 40 teachers. We agonize every year because we get far more applicants than 40. My hope is one day we can give this program, what the center does, to other cities and other regions, and they can replicate it, because I would like to see a lot of what we do adopted nationally.
For too long, the focus has been on getting our students to vote when they turn 18. The problem is, we haven't taught them how important our right to vote is and how valuable their citizenship is. I've been fortunate to work with some of our youngest students before they turn 18. I really love working with elementary students, teaching them who they are and that they have a role in our society as a citizen. The students get very excited about that. It helps build their knowledge of who they are and how they fit into their community. They get to hear their voice. All too often, they're taught to the test and to memorize. They're taught that something is either right or wrong. But when you ask them about the law or government or the Constitution and bring them into the courtroom, they express their views, they hear their voice, and they see that there is not a right or wrong answer. They can contribute and have ideas that are valuable. Sometimes they have the best ideas. They're not jaded, and we've seen this in the Citizenship Challenge and debates.
And if you could take the Rendell Center's work and expand it and replicate it all across the country, I think we could produce a different generation of kids coming into adulthood with a different attitude towards government, politics, and citizenship. And to me, it's the most important thing I can do with the rest of my life.
I really believe that such programming is the best way we can ensure the next generation has the knowledge, skills, and dispositions of effective citizenship, so that they can ensure that our democracy continues for 250 more years. We hope that you will join the Rendell Center on this important journey to educate the next generation. There's never been a better time or a greater need to reinforce the value of civics education and enable opportunities for civic engagement among the next generation of voters.